Moo. Hello. Hey, there she goes. Your mic is muted. There she goes. Huepa, otra vez, Blanco. Did it again.
Something's happening. Something's happening.
I feel like when light workers come together, things come so that they can't do their work.
Woo! Yeah.
You know? And I'm like, what? And I didn't even need that. Like, went to the Zoom this morning. I didn't even think about it. Hello and welcome to Birth Communi-Tea. We have with us the lovely Alison E Reynoso. Excuse me.
Reynoso.
And honored to have you here. So I told you this morning, I want you to tell us who you are, what you do, and why you're awesome. And then explain a little bit about your opening the heart process, because that was so profound. And when I watched that video, there was so much peace just from these simple acts of anointing and blessing. You know, whether you're using stones, oils, you know, tones, whatever. So it was such a beautiful practice of awareness of self. So thank you for sharing it with me before we did this interview, so I knew what was cracking.
Yeah, well, I am super excited to be here. You know, it's funny how nothing happens by accident, and we were not able to connect this morning. And I was able to see you in action, and just the way you bring vulnerability to another level. It's like there's no question about whether you're being genuine or not. It's like your heart is completely open. So it was just beautiful to see. So who am I? It's funny because yesterday I got inspired to record a reintroduction of who I am, right? And it was funny because I was called to begin by saying that I am a spiritual being who happens to have a body. And that sets a lot, because to me, it's like we spend so much time trying to take care of this body, of the things that we see, material things. But in reality, when it comes down to it, once you're dead, what is there?
That's right.
You know, we spend so much time looking outside of ourselves. So to me, like going within and going into my heart, that's really the core of it all. If you know what I mean.
I love that. And that like brings to mind, I was listening to Big Empress Energy on Instagram. Ella lea tarjeta, right?
Oh, sí.
And she's like, look, you know, don't get caught up because este cuerpo is on loan. And this is a costume that we're wearing so we can play our role. You know, but when we take that costume off, what's left? El corazón.
Amen. You know, it's really your soul. And especially lately, I've been practicing different ways to go within more and more, especially nowadays. I feel that there's so much distractions, you know, everything that is going on. And if you really look at the news, you go into the negative side of it. So I had found myself being able to feel what I'm feeling, but also choose something different, you know, and going into my heart in different ways than I did prior to COVID-19. For example, I used to meditate and I used to go pretty profound, and I would be okay most of the day. Well, now I find that meditation is just not enough. I found that it's about aligning like body, mind, and spirit. You can meditate all you want, but if you're not taking steps towards what you want, you ain't going nowhere, right? So you have to, besides the spiritual, the mental, your mentality has to be at a high vibration where you're coming from a positive space. And again, positive space, it's directly to being in touch with your heart, you know, going back to that. So I had found that it worked, but I needed something else. So in order to be in alignment with my spirit and my mental status, I have to work with my body. I have to bring my body into action. So I happen, you know how things happen, and a friend of mine introduced me to this group of people that meet twice a week, and they do a combination of yoga, they do meditation, breath work, and it's really in alignment with what I want, which is to go within, be in alignment with body, mind, and spirit. So I find that exercising has added to my level of concentration, especially when it comes to focus and meditation. So it keeps me calm when
No,
shit hits the fan. You know
no,
what I
of
mean?
course, you're getting endorphins going, you're releasing the right chemicals, you're reducing stress. People will say, well, I walk all day at work. But when you're at work, your body is kind of stressed. But when
Mhm.
you're intentionally exercising, you're nourishing your cells. You're
Of course.
releasing toxins, you're sweating,
Mhm.
you're moving your lymph
Mhm.
system,
Yes.
and you're talking to all the body systems. And most people don't even pay attention. They just run the cuerpo until it's acabado.
Yeah.
They run until it's done. So having this connection, but then, so you said,
Mhm.
you know, I'm over here in spirit, so we're receiving these downloads, right?
Mhm.
But if your mind's not right, how do you
Mhm.
process these profound downloads so that
Mhm.
you can take action, create
Mhm.
actionable steps so that you can put into action that plan that spirit has?
Mhm. Mhm.
So
It's
that's
about clarity.
beautiful.
It's about clarity. Going into my heart helps me get clarity.
Mm,
You know,
2020
especially when I
vision.
don't say that again.
2020 clear vision.
Exactamente. It's like wait a minute. So I really found different techniques, different ways to go within that are different than before. And I kept putting things down, and I'm like, oh, let me write a little routine, and I kept saying, oh, let me see. And someone pointed out to me that um, she said something about it looks like you're not taking care of yourself fully. And
Mm.
at first, my first reaction was like, you don't know me. You know how it is, like,
Okay.
¿qué pasó? It when it came up, my initial response was to feel defensive, and then I was like, wait a minute, really think about it. One thing is you putting things in writing and study something, and another thing is actually embodying that and utilizing that into your daily life. Like, own that which you have learned, own it by putting it into action. And for me, like going within, going into my heart, especially before I make a very important decision, it's important to me. It's You were talking about intuition this afternoon. It's like really opening your heart gives you room for your intuition from divine and from Mother Earth to sort of like come together so that you're able to expand.
That's right.
You know, yeah.
No, there's so many messages when we're actually listening and when we're cut off like from nature. So you were like, well, if we ain't going down and stepping, I'm going outside. Right. And I'm like, okay, no, we go. But like, you know, on Sunday, my husband, he was like, come on, we went to this beautiful watering hole, right? And up there were these flowers, they were growing. And we thought it was one plant. And we couldn't make a decision, and I'm an herbalist, but I check myself, we really got to know about these plants. So last Sunday he takes me up, and we're going, and he's like, we're going to go medicine making, we're going to get your yarrow, right? So it's really cute, he's really, this is something I love, so he wants to take me to do my thing, right? And he was ready. He would, come on, we got the potes, we got the alcohol,
Oye.
and but I stood in front of this plant and I was like, and spirit was just screaming to me, no pones en ese pote. Don't do it. Don't put it in that bottle. You know what? Sit with this a minute so you know what you're dealing with.
Mm,
And instead of, I know what I'm doing, I'm a herbalist,
mhm,
blah, blah, blah,
mhm,
I listened to that divine guidance. I had all my books, all my field
mhm,
guides, and I sat and I did a lesson in plant identification. And I just knew, okay, I couldn't make an exact determination on who she was. I had an idea. This
mm,
particular plant has lookalikes. but I just knew. And so I kept looking at the leaves, kept looking. And I was like, nope, I'm not going to do this. And then I kid you not, as soon as I walked away from this particular stand of flowers, I find who I'm looking for. And without a
Mm,
doubt, I know who she is.
you
But
knew.
unexperienced herbalists wouldn't have paid attention to those plants
Mm,
screaming,
mhm,
no, you don't
mhm.
want poison hemlock.
Yeah, yeah. Don't do it.
And I just, my husband was ready. And again, just supporting me. Okay, we're gonna do, that's yarrow. No, no, no. And
That's so
it's,
important.
so
Just but I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no. So I just think it's so important. Our
Yes.
intuition is always speaking to us.
Yes,
Just
yes,
pay
yes.
attention.
Follow your own intuition. It's amazing when you and your partner having happen to have the same point of view and the same way of seeing the world overall. It's great, right? But and even then, if you both spiritual, you're gonna have your differences because you're different people. So
Mm,
listening to your own intuition, again, connecting with the heart space, it's just really truly the way to go. And
mm,
sometimes it's not easy. I mean, I know. So I'm not coming from, oh, I know it all. No, not at all. It's more about um, I know who I am, I know where I've been, and there are things that connect me to the essence of who I am more and more.
mm,
And I know that it's my, it's sort of my duty to share. It is, that's what I agree to. It's my duty to share.
mhm.
Mm.
Amen. Ashe. Mm,
So who am I? I am a healer. I am a woman. I am a mother. I am. I do oracle readings. I
mm.
do channeling different spirits. I'm a channeler. I am more than anything else open. Not all the time because you also have to know when to be open and when to close. But overall, if I have to say what I stand for, it's all about loving yourself unconditionally, no matter what. Accepting yourself, self-love, self-acceptance, seeing yourself for who you truly are and assessing your power, you
Mm.
know. Um, so yeah,
And how do you serve in the world aside from like being a healer? Like, what's your day to day? Tu trabajo? Are you working in healing work?
I am working in healing work in many different ways, I would say. I have worked with under public health, the umbrella of public health for I don't know 30, 40 years, and I would say that the last 15 years I've been doing management in hospice, end of life care,
Okay, so you're kind of
and
doing.
yeah, yeah, I began that work as a hospice volunteer myself, and I just found it so profound. And after my grandmother died, there was something about the thought that she died alone
Mm,
that helped me, motivated me to say, I want to try that. I like to be able to hold space for someone at the end of life, you
mm,
know. So I did that work for a while, and that's how I got into that area of work. I work with hospice volunteers. I train them. And one of the things I always say to them is like, this work is not for everybody. But one thing about being with someone at the end of life, if you're open to it, there's just so many lessons right there in front of you, about your own life. Well,
well, absolutely working with Welito, but even as a birth worker, we expect that we're going to get a whole live baby at the end. And that's not always the case.
Mm,
So for me, my work, I walk very much a liminal space in between the veils always.
mm,
Um, but when I sat for my first fetal, well, gracias a Dios, my only fetal demise, they knew that the baby was not alive. And so this woman was induced and birthed her baby.
mm,
And that was one of the most profound experiences of my life because
mm,
you don't expect certain things. Um, and when, you know, it was very graphic. It was very intense, you know, but Spirit provided me with the most amazing downloads on how to handle situations. And, you know, parents want to bring these babies to their chest and hold them. And guess what? You can't, because they're very fragile, very fragile. And they actually showed me how they wrap Jesus. And that's how you're supposed to do these babies.
Oh, wow.
You know, so, you know, I learned that I had to have a special kit in my bag just in case. And then I have to tell these parents, I need 5 minutes. Pero tiene mi hierbita, lo aceite, everything to do, everything that I need to do so that the body stays together.
Wow.
So that they can hug their baby and hold their baby.
That is so.
That was not, I was not expecting.
Wow.
Okay. And so you never know what you're going to get when you're truly in service. And, you know, I got a call out of the blue. I did not know this woman. Literally the first time I was meeting her is as she's floating in the tub and we're getting ready to deliver her baby. And I'm here to tell you that God is amazing. They induced her at 1 p.m. I got to her at 5 minutes of 5. She did 10 centimeters in an hour and 28 minutes. But when I got there, she was still only 1 centimeter. And I learned that when I pray, God listens and answers. And I'm like, this speedy. And so just that part of dying with dignity, with compassion, you know, and like you said, abuelitas, they die all the time in nursing home, solito, sucio, with no one. And how is that for our elders to die in that fashion with dignity? So thank you for training these people and taking people on this walk, because you know what? That's a hella lonely walk by yourself.
Yeah, it definitely is. And there's something about the people who choose to do that kind of work. You know, I've worked with volunteers, but I've also trained like professional caregivers. And there's something about caregiving where the person who's doing the caregiving tends to carry the person as opposed to sort of like giving them the tools that they need so that they can continue to go. So caregiving could be traumatic on the person who's doing the caregiving, unless you find a way to give that care or a portion of that care to yourself. You know, like people say, you cannot love yourself, you cannot love others until you can love yourself. That also comes when we're talking about caregiving, giving cares to others. It really begins with giving care to yourself.
No, that's so profound, because again, you know, just having, and you were talking about having like a caregivers group and
Oh my God.
ooh, laying some healing on them. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
I yeah.
you
It's
know,
it's
as birth workers, I know that we experience traumatic things in the hospital and then we take that home.
yes.
Okay. And so this is no different as, you know, caregiving to the dying.
Of course.
You know, I know that when I go to my grandparents' house, you know, at night, I tell Pop, I kiss him on his head and I tell him, I'll see you tomorrow morning. You know, and that's my prayer. But when I'm turning that key in the morning, now the next prayer is, let them both be okay.
Yes.
Okay. But you know what? I know. And like when I first started doing it, it was a very intense scene. And every day I was crying and crying and crying. And
Yeah, drain.
you know, I have to switch this around. And I had to put myself in this frame of mind of cualquier cosa que va a pasar, va a pasar. This is
That's
in
true.
God's hands.
There's nothing you can do. I'm sorry, honey. Hold on 1 second. Sorry.
I paused the recording.
Sorry about that. We ordered some food and I had to, you know, the bell thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're talking about
So
yeah, no.
and
Caregiving.
taking care of yourself.
Taking care of yourself is just so important, you know, and I see it. It's like there's Of course, there's people, especially working with the dying, and there's a sense of, some people have a sense of gratitude just by having that opportunity to be present at that moment. And but with that, I also argue, it's like, what are you taking from that experience besides the experience for yourself? Like, take a closer look at yourself. And if you truly believe that, well, everybody has different beliefs when it comes to what happens to the body and the soul and all of that. But the point is to be present with that experience so that you can take that to your own life. I'll give you an example. I remember one time I was visiting a woman in a nursing home setting, and I remember the TV was on, and she was just very uncomfortable physically, but also like emotionally. You could tell that she was uncomfortable. And I remember me trying to fix the situation and feeling helpless because I did not know, I didn't understand what was going on with her. So I remember leaving that room with a sense of helplessness, in a sense
Mm.
of, what am I doing here? What am I doing here if I'm not actually fixing the problem? Carrying the person. I wanted to fix the problem. So that caused a lot of stress for me because I couldn't see the value that I was bringing into that situation. And then the next week that I went to visit her, I decided to take a different approach. I spoke to some people who gave me some guidance. And instead of trying to fix the situation, I said, I took some breath and I said to myself, just be here now. Be here now.
Mm.
And I remember I held her hand and I said to her, I'm here with you. I'm here with you. Why don't we breathe together? And she was anxious, very anxious. And then I began to breathe. And after a little while, I could feel energy coming from my feet all the way up to my body, up my arm, and to her. And then I could sense energy just going from her to me and from me to her. It was a dance. It became a dance of compassion and just being present. And that happened throughout my entire visit. And then she calmed down. And when it was time to go, I said, it's time for me to go. And I said goodbye. I never saw her again. And
Mm.
I will never forget the difference between the first time I saw her and the second time I saw her, and how going out of the nursing home, I was completely present. It's a totally different experience.
Mm.
Just, I was there, I was present. I was noticing the flowers, I was noticing the colors, I was noticing the people. It was just incredible. That's what he gave me, the ability to be present.
Mm. That's so yummy. And it just reminds me of, like, okay, maybe she wasn't on your chest, but it reminds me of skin to skin,
Mm,
recalibration, and let's just be
mm,
together. Let's just rest here a minute.
mm.
Let's just sit, let that energy flow. Let's just be together, experiencing human touch, human contact.
Mhm, mhm.
When was the last time somebody touched her without an agenda, poking and prodding
That's
her?
true.
Okay. And then again, we know nursing homes be crazy. So, or if was she in her
She,
own home, or
no, she nursing home.
so,
That's a different conversation.
but,
Mm,
so again, when was she just touched just for love,
right,
just for love, just for compassion,
right.
you know,
Mhm,
and
mhm,
that's so vital, because I think about that a lot. People are pressed for love, they're pressed for money, they're pressed for time, they're pressed for space, they're pressed for human connection. Doesn't matter, young, old, you know, the lack of connection, the lack of
mhm. That's true.
presence,
Mhm,
you know,
mhm,
how many people are not present with their families?
mhm.
So that, this comes in on so many levels, and it's just kind of something that's just going to keep spreading until we decide, let's be here now.
Mhm,
Let's be in this
mhm,
moment and enjoy, because we're never going to get this moment again.
mhm, mhm.
So
Amen.
when you caregive, though, so what can caregivers do to self-care themselves? Let's talk about
Mm.
these fab practices.
Practices. Okay. Um, do you know about EFT?
Yeah.
EFT tap. Yeah.
Yeah.
course we do. Tapping,
Emotional freedom technique, of course.
emotional. Let me take this off. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So, emotional freedom technique is something that I found. I found it a while ago, and I found it very complicated with the wording, the way they instruct you to do it, and I never tried it. And then someone introduced me to a very easy way to do it, and I basically it allows me to go with it. So, in terms of techniques, one way could be very simple. You don't have to truly understand every single thing that it is that you're doing, but all you have to know with EFT or tapping is that you are using acupuncture points that helps you release, helps you process whatever it is that you are putting your attention to.
Okay.
Okay. And it usually begins with something that you want to release. Like what's the breakdown? What is it? What's going on? And accepting that
I
you're
have a
there.
headache right now and I'm not feeling so hot, but as I release this.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm not feeling exactly, but and just acknowledging the levels of shift in the
And
energy.
complaining with a purpose in some ways.
Complaining with a purpose. I love it.
I like to complain, So I found just by acknowledging, it's like, shit, this
the karate chop.
shit. Exactly. It's truly a pain in the butt. And sometimes I have patience and sometimes I don't. And I completely love and accept how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
This shit, I don't know when it's going to end. And getting to your heart space is very inconvenient. And I completely love and accept how I feel. Can't wait for this shit to be over. And I completely love and accept how I feel, right? And you just start here, tapping right here in the eyebrows. Breathe in, release, and then over here. Enlacing. And breathe, release. And then over here. Yep. Ooh. It's okay. It's all good.
This too shall pass.
Right here. It's all good. It's so good. Thank you. And then your bones. Sometimes they do one finger, one hand. Sometimes they do two.
The bilateral tapping.
Exactly. And then you go underneath, like where your bra goes. Mm-hmm. If you choose to wear a bra. I did not. And then you breathe. And then the top of your head, just go around. And breathe in. And then you remind yourself of your own power. And you say whatever comes to mind. I usually keep it very simple. And I go back and say, no, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the experience, I am learning so much from this.
I'm learning so much.
It's all good.
It's all good.
It's all good. I am loved.
I am loved.
I am so protected.
I'm so protected.
And you just pay attention to how you feel. Just notice what comes. And again, pay attention to your heart, how it feels like. What sensations do you feel in your body? I felt good, right?
Now it's like, you have people check in prior. There's no denying. People who are self-aware, they get it immediatamente. But like, people who are just learning, you have them scan first, they can't deny the shift in the body, in the
Mm-hmm.
mind, in the
Mm-hmm.
heart. And
Mm-hmm.
what I love about this, there's so many cool things about this, because again, this is like EDMR. This
Mm-hmm.
is like tapping the glands and
Mm-hmm.
activating all the different systems. The bilateral tapping, which is rewiring the
Mm-hmm.
energy system and the synapse. And these are all different techniques. But, when people create their own systems, so this is such a beautiful blend of all these things.
Yes.
So it was like, bam, it's instant.
Yes.
We don't no necesita que trabajar duro. We don't
No,
have to do it
no,
for 17 hours. Just
no.
that was quick. That was so quick. That was so accessible. And it just takes a little practice. And seriously, people can do it in 2 to 3 minutes and
Yeah.
experience a complete shift in
Yes.
mindset,
Yes.
in
Yes.
body
Yes.
discomfort. Maybe even, all right, so maybe, you know what, I'm in pain right now, but you know what, now the pain is tolerable.
Mm-hmm.
So that was beautiful. Thank
Yeah.
you. Oh my gosh.
There's just a shift in your body. So if you didn't, in your body, in your mind, in your spirit, there's a shift about it. You don't have, even if you don't have time or you're in public and you feeling some kind of way and you want to release it, just imagine doing the tapping in your mind. Close your eyes. You can close your eyes anywhere, as long as you're safe, and close your eyes and imagine yourself doing it. When I was going into the office, I used to go to, sometimes when I would feel anxious, something was coming up, or I would be triggered by just stupid shit. Sometimes you're triggered by stupid shit. So I would be like, wait a minute, not about them, that's about you. That's a reflection of you that you feel in yourself. Go to the bathroom, and I would close the door and I would sit and I would just, and sometimes just tapping into your heart, just here.
Mm-hmm.
And if you combine this, standing up, just this,
Mm-hmm.
it wakes your body up. It's telling you, it's like you telling yourself, it's like, hello, wake up now.
Well, here, like right in that area, your thymus gland is there. So that is the gland of immunity. So you're calling yourselves to action. And so when they talk about T cells, thymus cells. And this is
Exactly.
how you get them.
No wonder why you get a little more energy.
No, that they totally tell you. You know what? Si estás cansadita. Tap that thymus. Tap that thymus. So that's so
Yeah,
beautiful. But like you
yeah.
said, even if you're just doing it like right now, I'm feeling, I call it like my blood gets like Alka-Seltzer when I'm oxygenating my blood. And so when you do that, that's that energy that you feel. You feel the blood perking and moving. And it's amazing. Like, the pelito se para. And you're just like, yeah, okay, I'm
Just
awake now.
release. Something else that I'm also an intuitive life coach. My coaching training, it's all about looking at what you want to accomplish, but who do you want to be as you accomplish it? And
Mm,
people want to lose weight, and they may do the actual exercise that they recommend, but if they're bitching and complaining and feeling, the cuerpo, when are you gonna, and you are really with all this negativity as you are doing it, you may lose the weight, but where is your mental status? Like, where are you in terms of, do you like yourself better? Is it all about the physical, or is there more than that? And this type of coaching really focuses on who you want to be.
mm.
you know who
In fact,
are you being as you're doing it? Who are you being as you are exercising? If you're exercising, right, and you're like, I know I can do this. I know I can do this. I'm feeling so good. Look at me. I have more energy. So you are in the moment, you enjoying what you're doing. So when you do lose the weight, it's going to be a different state of being. You're going to be different, not only outside, but on your inside.
that's right.
you know so I also do exercises like writing works for some people. So at night I find that, especially as a caregiver, I feel like I have my things to do, and I go to the end of the day, and then I'm like, I haven't done shit, because I'm focusing on what I have not done. I'm focusing on what's missing. that cup halfway empty or full. So I'm focusing on what's missing, so I don't feel accomplished. However, if I make it my business and I commit to writing down every night every single thing that I accomplished for the day, forget about what you didn't do, every single thing that you did, you'd be surprised all the things that you have accomplished.
And
So
that's
not only
validating, because people do. They feel like they don't do nothing at all. Que estás sentado y no estás haciendo nada. They're not doing nothing. And so that's so powerful, because I've never, they're like, okay, check, check, check. I did this, this, and this, but then it is, oh, I got to do this, instead of saying, you know what? Good job.
exactly.
Good job. Look what you did today.
Acknowledgement. Acknowledge yourself. You acknowledge yourself for the things you did accomplish, so that you feel empowered and you feel fulfilled. Isn't that what it's all about? Really, in the moment, feeling fulfilled in the moment.
Absolutely. I hear your
doorbell. A lot of writing exercises and ways to let things out of your head and out of your mind into the paper, and let's get creative.
And that's so profound, though, because again, people don't write things down, number one. And, there's something that, when the statistics prove that you have a 48% or 42% chance of reaching your goals simply by writing it down. I really like going from 0 to 42% just by writing it down. And, there's some kind of, it's hard for people to write and get their thoughts down, or get their, forget about, all right, this is my task list. Imagínate, these are my accomplishment lists.
You don't see that happening?
I'm just like, so no, I do this thing, and I like, instead of going my to-do list, I call it my to-da list. So it's not so boring.
I like that. I like that. Yeah.
I was like, to do.
No. I call it, exactly. I call it my top 6. What are the top 6 things that I will accomplish today?
Okay,
helps me.
I do 3. I do 3 MITs, most important things.
Oh, great.
And anything else is a bonus.
I hear you. That's great. Talk about self-care, knowing your boundaries, setting boundaries, and being able to say, I'm not cooking today. It's order out.
Like you did.
I did. I was like, no, please.
And what are you getting for dinner?
Fish tacos.
I made tacos for Grandma tonight, and she loves them.
Great.
That's my favorite, is fish tacos, like all summer long.
Yeah.
If you want fish tacos, all of them.
Everything you got.
All the fish tacos. Thank you.
Exactly. So when it comes to offering my services to caregivers, I'm putting together a circle of women. Now it's women. Yeah, definitely women caregivers, professional caregivers, but also personal caregivers, who are looking to find ways to go within more, who are looking to connect with their heart more, who are looking to simply connect to themselves more. As a way to reduce some stress, as a way just to connect. You talk about this. It's like just as simple as connecting. How often are we doing that? And I think that's missing. That's missing. If you're all up in your head and you feeling like a victim because people don't understand you, or people are not doing what you want them to do, and you need to control the situation, and it's just not happening, and you're just all stressed out, change your perception. Just go within. Perhaps just if I spend more time here, this will become what it will become, instead of focusing over there. Like, spend more time here so that you will be the best version of yourself that you can be for yourself, but also when you go out there.
Yeah, and I always find it just, we explain these things, but it really does take practice to stop yourself, check yourself before you wreck yourself, and then really dial it back, dial it in, and say, okay, what's going on here? Is this me? Is this them? What is exactly going on here? And learning to witness without judgment. because immediately, we're reactive, right?
Mhm.
And that's how misunderstanding happens. And so really being able to dial it back, be present, ask a few questions
Mhm.
before we have a reaction. And then sometimes it's not to do anything but be a witness in the moment. It's not our place to have a reaction, maybe
Mhm.
even,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know, but stopping ourselves and actually saying, you know what, I don't know all the story. I don't know all the story. Let me take a few minutes here to get some information, whether it's personal feedback
Mhm.
or external feedback. And does this require an answer, an action, anything? Because you know what? It doesn't always require my attention.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's really profound of taking it inside.
Taking
Uh,
in, go in, go in.
you
Yeah,
know,
we don't spend
getting back to
enough
that
time
heart center,
within.
and most people are not operating from a heart center. So that even that is like a weird concept to people sometimes.
I agree. I agree.
So
I had people ask, well, how do you do that? How do you go with it? Breathe. What is that like? And I get it. I mean, it can be scary, especially if there's stuff that you've been stuffing somewhere because you don't want to take a look. The more open you become, the more you open your heart, your stuff is gonna come up. you know and it's okay if you're scared, because the fact is that it's like fear is not going anywhere. It's going to always be around. The question is, who do you want to be with it? you know like people say, choosing fear or love. There's two main emotions, right? Fear or love. Where am I coming from? Where am I coming from right now? But it takes for you to step back and say, like, because sometimes it's easier just to blame the other person, but for you to step back and self-reflect and say, who do I want to be? What do I want to come from in this situation? Do I want to come from, I need to get it right and I need to let you know that you're wrong? Or do I want to come from the fact that I love this person and it doesn't really matter?
mm,
You know?
well, but even in that, people take that stance, right and wrong. So that's what, and loving first, it, like, even that's revolutionary. Right? And it really,
Yeah.
you know it's funny how relationships are. So it's always amazing when people understand this. You know what, is it more important to be right, or is this relationship more important than that rightness?
Mm-hmm. That's
and
it.
and taking a loving stance, it doesn't mean that we're not drawing healthy boundaries. We're just choosing love instead of
Mm-hmm.
reaction, rah rah.
Mm-hmm.
you know
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
that is so powerful
Mm-hmm.
for people. And
Mm-hmm.
so,
I agree.
you know so do you have a date for this caregiver circle startup?
I do have the first one this Thursday from 5:30 to 6:10. I'm gonna make it short, as an introduction. So if people are interested, they can just message me, and I'll send you the link.
Okay,
It's
cool.
gonna be it's gonna be short. It's gonna be to the point. And honestly, for me, is to be able to practice with people, being able to connect, and being able to practice with people. Some
Okay,
things
so
are
it's
gonna
going to be on
resonate,
Zoom.
not. Say that again.
It's going to be on Zoom.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
So those who are interested, just message me and then I'll send you the link. Thursday, 5:30 to around 6:10.
All right. So you have dinner to eat. I need
Yes,
to tell people where they can find you on Instagram, Facebook. Do you have a website? Your email?
I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you.
When I post a video, you can put all your information underneath.
Okay, darling. Thank you so much. It's really this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship, and I'm looking forward to it.
Same, same. I'm so grateful that we figured out how to get you on and
I know.
allow ourselves to be defeated. And thank goodness for you and Kai sharing the same energetic connection, because she said exactly what
Yes.
you said. Do a Zoom. I just posted. I was like,
Like, again, we didn't think about that.
You know, so that's why I
Yeah,
call her my tech goddess. I swear
Kai,
to you,
Kai
because
is
she
so
always has
funny.
an answer.
Yes, for the longest, I've been calling her Kai, and the other day when she introduced herself, she says, Kai,
Kai,
Kai. I'm like, girl, and all this time you didn't tell me how to say your name, but I guess she's kind of used to it.
that's what it was. I did it for, I'm breaking myself from that mal costumbre ahora because I called her Kai for so long and she never corrected me. And I was like, girl, what is your name and what is your preference? So Kai, thank you for taking care of us always, for having our back, even though you were trying to escape and have a little break. Thank you for saving us, sister. I love you. And
Have a good night.
Alison, besitos, abrazos y
Igualmente.
bendiciones.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
thank you, thank you.
Cuídate. Bye.
Bye.